Usually you ask Assembly Member Diane Dixon to come talk about what's going on in Sacramento, but she's going to talk about what's going on right here in our old backyard today. I want to welcome Assembly Member Diane Dixon to our program, and we're going to be talking about the DMV today.
Everyone's favorite topic.
Everyone's favorite place to go, favorite place to talk about.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you. I always love coming to Laguna Woods. It's such a wonderful community, and everyone's engaged and knows the issues. My office tells me we have received more letters and phone calls about the DMV and their announced closure of the Laguna Hills office, closing October 18th. I've been over there. There's signs everywhere. We are closing October 18th. So the residents, I'm speaking to the residents of Laguna Woods, this is what's going on, and I'm fighting for them, and we're going to do whatever we can to stop this.
And it seemed a little out of the blue, it seems like, how these decisions get made. Do you know yet how this decision to close this office came to be?
I'll tell you what the facts I've been told by the company that owns the current property is that they were looking for a new location for whatever reason. I did hear on the other news, on another news station, because of ADA, so I specifically was looking at that when I went to visit the Laguna Hills office, and I'm certainly welcome to hear from Laguna Woods residents if they felt that there's an ADA issue.
Right, that would be the Disabilities Act, that access.
Yeah, the access, they've got the bumps to get through the curb, and then the restrooms are ADA, and there's plenty of wide spaces, so I was really surprised to hear that. So they approached the DMV approached the city of Mission Viejo several months ago, I guess in August, with a site that they had considered in Mission Viejo. Surprisingly, Mission Viejo City Council did not approve that because it was too close to residential areas for the driving test and that type of thing. And that is a pretty standard. It's not. Mission Viejo was not really out of line on that.
Right.
I know other cities feel the same way. You don't want inexperienced drivers to be
going around to schools.
Yeah. So there's some parameters that are necessary. In speaking with the leaseholder or the property owner, when I made the visit to Laguna Hills office 2 weeks ago, he's looking at other comparable sites that could serve the people of this area, this part of South Orange County, and that's really the point that we want to make. Apparently 500,000 local residents visit this DMV site every year, and it's really important to serve this population, which is, especially as we know in Laguna Woods, over 80% of the people are over 65 years old. It is a DMV, like them or not, is an essential service. You need to go in there and get your eyes examined. You need to take the annual exam. You can do that now online, but it's a little, sometimes difficult to manage. I've taken it, and it takes a while to figure it out.
For seniors, there are some special requirements you have to kind of do that are above and beyond in terms of needing that DMV facility pretty close by.
Well, they have to take a driving test every year, I think it is. And so the aging population everywhere, it needs to physically visit a DMV site, and then the real ID requirement requires an in-person visit to DMV. So we need DMV, it's an essential service. So to relocate it outside of this immediate area, I call it like Southeast Orange County, is a real inconvenience, a physical inconvenience, and to force residents, 500,000 people, to go to San Clemente or Santa Ana.
Yeah, those are the two next door ones at least.
20 some miles away on a good day from a traffic standpoint, so that's not satisfactory.
Yeah. And the Santa Ana one, I've been to the Santa Ana one, I don't mean to disparage, but it's my least favorite. Let's just say that.
They're all very aged.
They're very tough. They're overwhelmed.
They are.
And to take away Laguna Hills would just be such a burden on both those locations.
You know, I've been to I go to the Costa Mesa one personally. You always park in the streets. There's not enough parking. The Laguna Hills facility, it's in a shopping center. Plenty of surface parking.
Yeah.
I understand that the Mission Viejo site had a parking structure. I guess there are pros and cons about that. But Laguna Hills it's a 30-year-old facility. Does it need to be, I don't know, remodeled? Maybe Costa Mesa is 60 years. I think Santa Ana is 60 years old. It looked very functional to me. People were getting service, accommodated, taking their driver's test, a very well-mannered, well-organized operation. but to relocate it is going to be a problem.
Now, you're a signatory to a letter that was sent to the head of the DMV saying,
Correct.
please do not do this, let's reconsider. What have you heard, and who's in charge over there?
Well, my request specifically was let's have a sit-down meeting, and the signatories were colleagues on both sides of the aisle, my colleagues in the Assembly and the State Senate, Democrats and Republicans of Orange County. The delegation has come together and said, let's try to figure out what's going on. How can we help solve this problem? If it's a budgetary issue, which it could be, everything's now a budget issue in California because of the deficit. My understanding is DMV wasn't announcing any layoffs. They were just moving the same employees to San Clemente, which is a much smaller facility.
Right.
We just want a meeting. We want to hear their side of the story. We don't know why they're doing this. I did not get a response from the letter to your question. I called about 7 days after the letter was sent, and because all these 7 or 8 or 9 legislators are saying, let's meet, and none of us got a response.
Wow.
So I did get into the executive director, the person I sent the letter to, his office, and he was out of town and this and that and back and forth. And we finally do have a Zoom call scheduled for September 30th.
Okay. They're cutting it close.
Yes,
only a couple
October
weeks.
18th is D-Day. So we need to resolve this quickly for all of your listeners and viewers today. I'm fighting. Now, we do have a solution. Write to the governor, and I think your folks here will post that telephone number.
Yeah, in fact, there's on the website. You can go on our website here, Laguna Woods Village's website, and there's actually where you can click and find all the links. Now, we don't need to bother you anymore. You're on there too, but
that's okay.
But you can to basically click to everybody, the DMV director, the governor, everybody, and just let them know that this is something that's important.
You know, as a general message, I tell people all the time on this specifically, of course. Always write to the governor, write to me. Your letters, your calls are documented. They're public record. We listen, we care. At least my office does. I have a great staff that's very responsive. And the governor will suddenly say, what's going on? And we need to make them aware, make the governor's office aware of what's going on.
Do you think it's important that when you shine a light on these things, sometimes these decisions that were maybe made just haphazardly can really maybe be re-examined and real change can happen?
I do things because a higher up, a higher authority, maybe the governor will say, now tell me why you're doing this. Does this make sense? To have 500,000 people go from this part of South Orange County to go over to San Clemente, does it really make sense? And is this the best solution? And there is a solution. In addition to action to write the governor, the current space the lease can be extended for another year at below market price. This is what they've told me, the property owner.
So if anything, at least, maybe the no decision for now, let's pause everything and keep this and while this gets sorted out.
That's the ask. Don't do anything. Explore other locations. If you want to lower your costs, fine, but keep it in this area. I really believe the Laguna Woods, Laguna Hills, Aliso Viejo, Lake Forest, Rancho Santa Margarita, Mission Viejo. This area is heavily populated, 500,000 people. This is where the site, and to DMV's credit, this is where they located it in the first place 30 years ago. Let's keep it in this vicinity.
Laguna Hills City Council has also asked them to stay, right? So it's coming from all angles.
Many local city councils are writing letters to the governor. Yes.
How important is it kind of to have this unified voice around all of this?
Very important. You know what? It's bipartisan and bicameral, both Assembly and the State Senate. Who's opposed to this?
Right.
We want to serve the people. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. So the decision can be put on hold.
We believe. I've not heard that officially.
Right. Okay. So there's a chance that maybe there's an extension, but people, again, go to the website, go call the offices, call the governor, make sure your voice is heard.
The property owner is willing to extend it at the current rate, and then let's move from there. But let's do not close it. The ask is do not close October 18th.
Okay, that's a good ask. End of legislation session happened, and about 1,000 bills went to the governor's office.
Well, I will give you the headline. I will be happy to come back to talk to your viewers because it was my first legislative session. So it was a 2-year session, ended August 31st at midnight, according to the Constitution. So in the last 2 weeks, these bills could have been moving forward weeks earlier.
Right. It's like end of semester for a student. All
Yeah,
the
they
work starts coming
crammed.
in.
Well, there was a convention in the middle of August. Half
Sure.
the legislature, half the party, other party went to Chicago. So everything came to a complete stop. That was about a week. So then it all gets crammed to the last week. Not only the last week, the last hour. And so the last hour, they were rushing through about 500 bills without debate.
Oh.
Yes, there was a special motion by the other party because they have the majority, and they said we're cutting off debate. Debate under current rules is 5 minutes per bill. They brought it down to 30 seconds. Can't get much debate in 30 seconds.
Not a lot of debating going on.
So there are a lot of drama, a lot of important bills got through and didn't get through. And the bottom line is 1,000 bills are on the governor's desk for signature or veto, and if he does nothing, it becomes law.
Oh, yeah.
So if anybody follows any of these bills, it's important to write the governor on any bill that you are following. Any organizations follow many bills, and it's good to write the governor at this point in time. You may have been, these groups are very active during the legislative year. You hear from individuals and organizations. Now they have to continue to advocate for whatever their point of view is. The bills are on the governor's desk.
All right. Well, Diane Dixon, Assembly member from the 72nd District, thank you so much for joining us, and great update, and hopefully we can get the DMV to stay open.
I hope so. I hope I can come back and say we did it.
We'll let you, especially if you do. We'll have you back for sure.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Good to be here. Thank you.
You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.